There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I've got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. The battle line's being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds, getting so much resistance from behind. Think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 10,000 people in the streets, singing songs and carrying signs. They mostly say hooray for our side. Think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. And this was written back in the 60s, but man, this verse is just a little too accurate. Paranoia strikes deep. Into your life it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take you away. Think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Friends, good to see you all out here. Some of you old friends, some of you new friends, we're glad to see you out here. Hey, last night we were over at a church and doing our Confronting Christian Nationalism training, talking to people about how some people want Christianity to be specially privileged in the United States. Christian nationalism is not an idea that people of faith get out in the street and talk about what they want for America. Christian nationalism is the idea that America should privilege Christians over everyone else, that the government should do the work of Christianity, that Christianity should be the basis on which we run a government. Now, Christianity is good for a lot of things. I've been a pastor my entire adult life in the evangelical tradition. I'll tell you, it's good for a lot of things, but running a country is not one of them. That's not what it's designed for. That's not what it's good for, especially not a democracy where we welcome everyone. So we do that kind of work. But I'll tell you, you know what we really love? We really love talking to candidates. We really love talking to voters. We really love talking to people who are going to make a decision, because the United States of America, as we like to say on our bus, is a people-powered movement that we call We the People. That's what this thing is about. Thank you. Yes, that's my Jeb Bush. That is an applause line. It's our one homage to the Republicans. Please clap. We appreciate that. Now, you can see on our bus, it says faith, hope, and love supporting democracy for all. You'd be surprised how many people think that the phrase faith, hope, and love only belongs to Republicans. A lot of people walk up to us. A guy did it just the other day in Hudson, Wisconsin, said, I don't understand why you have that bus with that sign and then you have a Harris Walls sign. He couldn't get it. He couldn't grasp it. And I get it, because a lot of us have been told that if you believe in the things of faith, hope, and love, if you're an evangelical or you're a Christian, that Republican is your only option. We like to remind people that's just not true. But it's also, if you believe in faith, hope, and love, it doesn't only belong to people who want to vote for Scott Urbanowski, or for Harris, or for Ann, or for Becky. It belongs to all of us. We're staying over at the Holiday Inn in Holland last night. Or, I'm sorry, we're staying over at the Hampton Inn in Holland last night. And this morning, a car pulled up, and I looked at their bumper sticker on the back, and it was a big red, white, and blue Trump sticker on the back. And then right below it was a faith, hope, and love sticker. And I felt pretty good about that, actually. Felt pretty good that we're people of faith, hope, and love, and we think you should support democracy for all, which means there's not a chance in the world, the way I say, you should be voting for Donald Trump. We're not here to pick on the man. That man's like a self-cleaning oven. He does all the work for you. You already know what he's up to. But those people thought my faith, hope, and love and commitment brought me to Donald Trump. Okay, fair enough. But there's a whole lot of people who know that their belief in faith, hope, and love brings them to vote for other kinds of candidates. And so we're so excited to support these candidates and say that people of faith want to stand with candidates who care about the common good. Not just those who care about one political party over the other. So that's what we're doing out here. Now you're going to hear from some people running for office. One of our favorite things is when candidates get to hear each other. Because here's the thing we know. Running for office is lonely, hard work. And we're proud of you, and we're glad that you're doing it, and we love to have people together doing this. But you're also going to hear from Michael Waters here in a minute. Michael is a pastor from Dallas, Texas. Michael has a prophetic voice about what faith can mean and also what politics can mean in our age. So you're going to hear from him. You're going to hear from Keith, who used to be a pastor right here in this area, who's written a book about his own movement of spirituality that's brought him outside of the places where he ever thought he would be, because Christianity, for a lot of people, is a great starting point, but it launches them into other places of faith. And for some people, they stay on the path of Christianity, and for some people, it opens them up even wider. So those are going to be the kind of things. We're going to have a little music, we're going to have a little bit of encouragement, and we're going to get people going. And then if you want to stick around, at 7:25, we're going to join in with a group of people in Springfield, Ohio, on a Zoom call praying with Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, who are being targeted by the Trump-Vance campaign. So there's a prayer meeting that we're going to be a part of, and if you want to stick around until 7:25 and 7:40, that's going to be the part of that online program. So we invite you to be a part of that too, because there's real things going on in this world, and real people's lives are being put in jeopardy because of things being said by the Republican Party in this country right now. So we're glad that you're here. Thanks for being here. I told you you're going to hear from Michael Waters. Here he is, the most fine-looking man of them all. When Nick comes up, you'll feel from Nick that every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. You'll feel that vibe from Nick with that beard. But here he is, Michael Waters. Michael, thanks for being with us today, buddy.
Yeah.
Good evening, friends. I think the Hebrew language is one of the most beautiful languages in the world. There are words within the language that resonate with me. One such word is debar, which means word, but means in fact more than word. It means a promise. Another such word is shalom, peace, the peace of God. To be shared as a greeting from one person to another. But my favorite of the Hebrew words is a word called zakar. We find that word in the Exodus account. It says that Elohim heard the groanings and suffering of the people. And Elohim zakar is promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The book of Lamentations, it talks about the people asking God, Yahweh in that text, to zakar them. Zakar means remember. But it doesn't just mean remember. It means a remembrance that spurs action. Better stated, it means to employ your hands, your feet, and even your lips in all that remembrance requires. So it is that when Elohim zakard the people, he rose up Moses as an abolitionist and fought for their liberation. There was a 20th century philosopher by the name of Paulo Freire who wrote a seminal text entitled The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And he has a different way of talking about zakar. He talks about it as praxis. Praxis being reflection and action. Reflection and action working together to transform the world. And during this critical time in our nation's history, and approaching this most critical election, tonight I want to invite us all to zakar. I want to invite us all to a prophetic praxis that indeed has the power to change our nation and ultimately make for a better world. I was confronted with a powerful opportunity to zakar just last month, just outside of Chicago. While in that city, my wife and I went to the Burr Oak Cemetery. And we went there to pay our respects to a young 14-year-old Chicagoan by the name of Emmett Till. We went there to remember the brutalities and molestations that young boy experienced. But in remembering Emmett Till, we also had to remember a woman by the name of Rosa Parks. And tonight we need to have a different picture in our mental sky of who Rosa Parks was. She was not just a little old lady who didn't give up her seat one day on a Montgomery bus because her feet were tired. She was not someone who just stumbled into history. No, in her own words, Rosa Parks kept her seat on that December day in Montgomery, Alabama, because she had that young boy's brutalized face in her mind. She decided not just to remember that young boy. She decided to take action. She decided to zakar that she might transform the nation and ultimately transform the world. I don't know what brought you here tonight, but there's a lot of things going on in our country that invite us to zakar. Women denied health care. Some dying in the parking lot. Young girls being forced to carry the children of their rapists. There's a lot to zakar in this nation right now. Rising threats of political violence because of the intensification of violent rhetoric in the political space. There's a lot to zakar right now. But the thing that draws me into a moment of remembrance that spurs action is remembrance of my young daughter on a January day in 2021. As we sat together in our family room, and as we viewed a scene playing out on our screen, the Capitol building, a space that I had visited with my family, a place where I had offered prayers in the U.S. House of Representatives. That scene played out with billows of smoke and gallows erected. Do you remember that scene? Of those who violently assaulted police officers. Do you remember that scene? Of those who entered in with zip ties with the intention of taking elective officers hostage. Do you remember that scene? Of those who lifted up Bibles and crosses in the name of white supremacy. Well, if you remember, what are you going to do about it? I have a little girl that causes me to remember, because looking upon that screen, she asked Daddy a question. She said, Daddy, is this a movie? This can't be real. Not in the nation I love. Not in the place where I say the Pledge of Allegiance every single morning when I go to school. Is this reality? I had to tell my young daughter, yes, it is. But I had to comfort her by telling her there's people of goodwill all across this nation who are not going to remember, not going to forget what is playing out upon this screen. There are people who are going to mobilize their communities to remember. There are people who are going to register persons to vote to remember. There are people who are going to care for their neighbor enough to give them a seat in their vehicle and drive them to the polls, because we will remember. And as we remember, we have the power to transform the world. As we remember, we have the power to bend the arc of the moral universe towards justice, because it does not bend itself. As we remember, we have the opportunity to build a better America for a greater future for our children. And so the question tonight is, will you remember? And if the answer is yes, then let us take action together.
Thank you, Dr. Waters. There's a man that Dr. Waters is studying right now in a PhD program, someone we've all probably read back in high school. A preacher 150 years ago named Frederick Douglass. And in his autobiography, he said, between the religion of Christ and the religion of this nation, I recognize the widest possible difference. I don't know that a single quote has hit me so hard as that single quote, and how prescient it remains 150 years later. There's a song I wrote I want to share with you. It's called Faith of My Fathers. I don't want the faith of my fathers. It bombs, segregates, and enslaves. It uses scripture as a weapon. If you're a woman, immigrant, or gay, I don't want the faith of my mothers, silent while men hang from a tree. I see in Christ a clear reflection, a love beyond our wildest dreams. Do justly, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. Would you sing that with me? Do justly, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. I want the faith
faith of Moses, the kind that sets the captive free. I want the faith of Naomi, lifting the ones who are weak. I want the faith of Mary, holding the mystery deep inside. But most of all, I want the faith of Jesus and his grace, turning darkness into light. Down through the ages we've seen it, religion turning into hate, becoming a partner for violence, to war and steal and take and take. But when I read of the God of love, who rescues even enemies, there's something in me that rises up. Come be that hope in me. I want the faith of Joseph, forgiving those who do me wrong. I want the faith of Hannah, turning my grieving into song. I want the faith of Deborah, leading a nation out of shame. But most of all, I want to run to see the kingdom come, rolling the stone of death away. Do justly, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. Yes, do justly, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. I want the faith of Esther, I want the faith of Esther. What did
Thank you, Joel. That is the third time that I've heard that song. And I think it's gotten better every time, minus the cough. That's all right. It still sounded really great to me. My name is Nick Brock. I'm the Executive Director for Vote Common Good West Michigan, the only chapter nationally, and I think that's pretty important here. The work that we do in Michigan, a swing state, and in Kent County, and even Ottawa County, two of the swingiest states in Michigan. So I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm really glad to see a bunch of candidates here who have committed to the common good in West Michigan. So for those of you who have just arrived, what we'll do this evening is you'll meet some candidates, and I'll invite those ones up, and then we'll do a second round with Doug, and we'll chat about what that common good means to you as you run your campaign. So I'd like to invite Sally, Jason, Becky, and Ann to the front here. All right, so we'll do a short Q&A. So, what's your name? What office are you running for, and why?
Okay. Hi, my name is Sally VanEck, and I am running for a school board position, a trustee position on Granville School Board. And why I'm running is because, number one, I feel like just everything in my life kind of led to this moment. I was a teacher for a number of years. Thanks. And I just feel like I need to be present in this position right now because I want to bring that skill set, and I feel my spirit to, if I can say that in this crowd, I think I can, to that position, because I think it will hopefully be one where we can find that common good. I mean, it's just so relevant here, and find ways to make decisions that will benefit every single one of our students, not leaving out a section here or there based on other people's prejudices or preconceived notions, but that we can simply make the wisest decisions for our students moving forward. And especially today, for example, today our school district was closed because we had threats of violence.
Thank you, Sally. And Jason, full name, what you're running for, and why?
Yes, so my name is Jason Heyboer. I'm currently on the Granville School Board. I'm the president of the school board, and I'm running for re-election here this year. My why, is that the question, right? So it's changed a little bit. 8 years ago, when I started this journey, we had just had an election. And I said to my wife, I'm not going to complain if I'm not willing to get involved, at least locally, on a local level.
Yeah.
So, thank you. So I started attending school board meetings, and I was the only one there for about a year and a half, and I finally said, you know what, these folks are doing a good job, they're doing the right thing, but there's no one here that has any kids in the schools anymore, right? So I apologize, I'm a bit of a storyteller, so this may go on a little bit, so you asked the wrong question. So anyway, I got involved, started and ran for the school board and got on. 2021 happens, 2020, 2021 happens, right? Things just get flipped upside down. And since then, things have changed a lot in our area. And as Sally said, right, I mean, we are using a little bit of a hashtag called For Every Child, because that is one of the things that I am passionate about, is helping find a space, find a place where kids can feel themselves, can belong, and actually be supported. And that's one of my big reasons for continuing to run now and go on the school board at least one more term, is because I want to make sure we are putting policies in place and supporting all these kids. High school, middle school, elementary, it's tough enough. We got to have a place for these kids to be able to be themselves and be who they are. So that's my one.
Thank you, Jason. And Becky?
Thank you. Actually, I'm glad that the two of them went first, because that actually plays a role in why I've decided to run. I'm Becky Olson, and I'm running for Cascade Township Trustee on our Township Board. And believe it or not, I actually have a longer history with Nick. We met for coffee probably in 2021, when I am a public school parent and I started to see a lot of attacks coming at our schools in Forest Hills. And it truly did not make any sense to me. It was, there was a barbecue held with a big sign around it with a zero, or a line through it that said, "No CRT in our schools." And that's when I lost my, I just said, that's where I got to stop this. And I said, there is no way that we in this society have gotten to this point where this is anything that anyone believes is going on. And I took a picture of myself behind a big wall that said truth, and the role that I'm taking, I do communications by day, is to bring truth to a situation. So I've realized that no matter how old my kids are, they are going to outage that school eventually, but where we live is hopefully forever. And so while there are teachers and others that I would love to take the helm of the school board, I would like to have more of a voice of truth and common good at our township level. And you may or may not even know that I have a connection to Granville because I started a group called Support FHPS, and I work very closely with Bob and Support Granville. And so I started to realize that this putting my foot down and speaking truth in one community started to have other people, not only from West Michigan and Ottawa County, reaching out to me, but people from Wisconsin, from California, from other states saying, hey, we don't know what to do. People are attacking our schools, and this just doesn't make any sense. So I started to realize the difference that I can make by simply just saying, hold up, let me put up a mirror of truth to what's going on here. And that same thing is happening in our township board. And believe it or not, I'm extremely grateful for being here today because I needed this event just as much as other people might have needed to hear it. Because would you believe, after everything that I just said, I found out that a hit mail piece is going out about me for defending DE&I in our schools. So if that's the biggest thing that I've done wrong is let other students be heard and not silenced, then send out the mail and I'll hand you the post-it.
Thank you. And come on over here. Tell the people what office you're running for and why.
Well, I'm used to being last because my last name is Zoppa. So, very familiar.
Well done.
I grew up about a half a mile from here, I want you to know. Lived 21 years. My family lived a little longer at that address. My folks have passed away. I'm one of 8 children.
Wow.
And I never was able to get involved in politics. Not that I didn't want to, but my schedule was such that I really couldn't offer much. The schedule was very erratic, morning, noon, night, midnights. So I retired and wanted to get involved with the party, and so I did so, but I was doing mainly grunt work. Not that it was below me, but there's just so many envelopes you can stuff and so many things you can stamp and so many phone calls, 4,000, that you can make. So I was waiting to have somebody see what I could do. So I have a good group of associates that encouraged me to run for this job. It's a Plainfield Township Trustee. I live in Plainfield Township. It's only about a mile up the street. It begins at 4 Mile Road and goes on to Rockford, 10 Mile Road. What I saw, I was encouraged to attend board meetings, and the people who govern that township, the people that are supposed to care about people and the quality of life in the township. I wasn't getting that vibe. I was seeing the status quo. Just keep it the way it is. We've been on this board a long time. We'll make the decisions. We'll govern the way we want. And I'm like, no. And then that awful tornado hit a little over a year ago, Plainfield Township and Alpine Township, and that did it for me. The township had no involvement whatsoever. They closed up the tornado hit Thursday night. They were closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The marquee had no directions as to what to do. People couldn't communicate. They didn't have power. I live in a 55 and older building. These people couldn't get from the first floor to the 3rd floor. The elevator was out. We have no generator. They lived in pretty much pitch dark halls for 3 or 4 days. I said, this is not right. This is just not right. And did Plainfield Township stop by to say, gee, how are you doing? Gee, do you guys need food? Gee, nothing. Did any churches stop by? No. So that's what led me to run for the township. I hope to get a local emergency plan, a disaster plan in place, and coordinate it with Kent County, Michigan State, and the Kent County Emergency Department. So that's why I am running.
Thank you, Ann. So I'm going to ask one final question, and I'll invite Sally right up here. All of these candidates that you see tonight, they've committed to the common good here in West Michigan, and what that means is they've committed to trustworthy leadership, responsible governance, genuine belonging, ethical conduct, service before self, and love in politics. And so I've asked each and every one of them if they would share just one of those things. Which of those resonated most with them?
Well, I really loved all of those, and that's why I sought the endorsement from Common Good. The one that I chose, though, was the one that I think that I personally need to work on the most, and that's curiosity. And I think that curiosity takes a pretty high degree of empathy and asking the right questions of people, the different stakeholders that are involved in making decisions, listening to their hearts, listening to their feelings and their perspectives. And I hope to bring that to that school board so that people know that when they come and bring an issue, that they're going to be heard. And I'm not just going to brush them off, and that I'm going to ask questions until I feel that I understand exactly where they are.
Very good. Sally, VanEck. Jason, which commitment resonated most with you?
So now I feel like a plagiarizer. I chose curiosity as well, but I've got a different reason. Right? So, gosh, it's probably been about 15 years ago. I read a book, or I should maybe explain a little more. I started my career in manufacturing management, and very much so direct line. Have production workers and so forth working for me, and I could never figure out why they couldn't be as maybe motivated as I was, right, to get things done and get to do the job and so forth. And I read this book about 15, 20 years ago, and it explained the three different socioeconomic groupings, and the majority of our production workers come from the lowest grouping. And it talked about what was important to them, right? What was important to them. And for them, it was the relationships they had in their life, right? Because they may be living in subsidized housing. They may be living somewhere. And if their neighbor needs them to watch their kids because they need to go to a job interview, that neighbor has been there for them a heck of a lot longer than this company has that they're working for right now. That neighbor is someone that they see every day and have a relationship with. And it started getting me thinking about, boy, I gotta open up my mind and understand other people's perspectives, be curious about it. And then it comes along here recently, I don't know if anyone's a Ted Lasso fan, right? Yeah. But there's if you're not familiar with the show, it's a great show. He's just a very different type of leader, and there's a very, I'll say, popular episode where he's playing darts in a bar with Rupert, who is the ex-husband of his now boss. And he goes on and has a little bit of diatribe about curiosity, and he says, be curious, not judgmental. And that is really one of the things that really stuck out to me was that curiosity piece. I want to understand people's point of view, right? Not just jump to judgment. Now, it's hard. That is a hard thing to do. But being curious, trying to see the world through everybody's eyes, right? Trying to see and understand how is that environment, like we talked about earlier, for these kids who are coming from different worlds, coming from different places. How are we providing an environment for them? We have 30 different languages. We have 30 different languages spoken at the homes of our students in Granville. 30 different languages. And you can imagine how just different it is for everyone. They all have different experiences that they're bringing to school, and we got to try to figure out how to help, move them along, help them get educated, and become the best versions of themselves at the end of the day. So that curiosity piece, that's really the one that stuck out to me.
Thank you, Jason. And Becky.
I'm going to share that hearing that and you were talking reminded me that growing up, I was raised Lutheran, and whenever a baby would cry in church, the pastor said, nope, that's totally fine. That's just Jesus resonating with what I'm saying. And so I'm taking that with the siren that this was. The one that I related to was responsible governance. Now that one to me really packed a punch because it had everything from accountability to teamwork to civil discourse to speaking with conviction. But what I liked about it the most, I want to extract two words, and that's the dichotomy of cooperation or collaboration and conviction. Because what I feel is happening, and part of why we need to be reminded of vote common good, is that we've moved from this element of cooperation and collaboration to using conviction almost as a weapon, where it is who can make the biggest sting instead of the biggest solution. And we need to stop speaking for the quotable moment and the thing that's going to barb somebody harder, and really just start to bring ourselves back to what is even just a glimmer, a little sparkle of something that we can have an agreeable starting point to have a conversation about, and then use that to discuss what can we talk about with parks, what can we talk about with paths, what can we talk about with the businesses that we're letting in here. And so I really resonated with that one. And I just wanted to add as well that there was another possible question that come up, and I feel like it's really important to share, but I was really inspired by the discussion about the visual of January 6th. And in light of the fact that diversity and welcoming all is being used as a weapon against me, I wanted to revisit, what do Lutherans believe and what are those principles? And would you believe that social justice and standing up for injustices and helping others and everyone be welcoming is actually what Jesus tells us to do? And so if that's what I'm being told as the weapon, I just wanted to kind of reground and say, well, that's interesting, huh? Because that's actually part of the teaching. And so anyway, I just again value being here in this organization to learn from you.
Thank you, Becky. And last but not least, Ann, right to the center, please. What resonates most with you? What commitment?
I would have to say decency. Decency to me is like the golden rule. And I was raised with the golden rule. I didn't understand what it meant as a child to treat others like I wanted to be treated. It wasn't until I got older and I was out of college. And I moved outside Washington, D.C. and lived there for about 30 years before I returned here. And out there, it was so interesting to have people from every culture, every language, people that did things different than I did, people that looked different. And I enjoyed it wholly. Whenever I had them as customers, or whenever I would engage with them at a party, I wanted to know about their culture. I wanted to know about them. And I always treated them with full respect. I never was better than they were. And that it just meant a lot to me. When I returned here, it really kind of bothered me because I had a great experience. I'm sorry I didn't have it when I was younger, to see all these different people. I mean, in the township I live in, it's like 98% white. I'm not happy about that, but that's what it is. I miss the engagement of these other cultures, of these other people. I think together we're stronger, and we enhance our lives a lot more.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you to all the Common Good candidates here in the first round. Next, we're going to hear from Dan. Dan's got a staple of a song called the Hymn for the 80. Maybe you might play a different one, right? No, it's that one. It's the one I thought it was, a staple of Oh Common Good. So here we go.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I love, I get to travel around and meet so many great people. Just ordinary people who went to a school board meeting and said, you know what, I can help here. Or decided to throw their hat in the ring and run for office because they think they can make a difference. And I just love that. Good people doing what they can. And I don't know about you, but after 2016, I was just dumbfounded that good Christian people would vote for a man that looked nothing like Jesus. And I didn't know what to do. Maybe you didn't know what to do. But I put all my feelings into this song, and maybe you can find your story in this song as well. It goes like this. I grew up in your churches, Sunday morning and evening service. I knelt in tears at the foot of the rugged cross. You taught me every life is sacred. Feed the hungry and clothe the naked. I've learned from you the highest law is love.
And I believed you when you said I should trust the words in red to guide my steps through a wicked world. I assumed you'd do the same, so imagine my dismay when I watched you lead the sheep straight to the wolves. You said to love the lost, I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. Oh, they started putting kids in cages, ripping mothers from their babies, and I looked to you to speak on their behalf. Oh, but all I heard was silence, or worse, you justified it, singing glory, hallelujah, raise the flag. So your fear it turned to hatred, but you baptized it with language torn from the pages of the good book. And you weaponize religion, and you wonder why I'm leaving to find Jesus on the wrong side of your walls. You said to love the lost, but I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome, justice roll down. Come home, you're better than this. Oh, you taught me better than this. Come home, come home, you're better than this. I used to think you were better than this. Come home, come home. Maybe I was too naive, or I just didn't want to see that there's always been a little poison in the well. Our churches sit on stolen land, a nation built by stolen hands, and we use the Bible to justify it all. Yeah, from slavery and segregation to mass incarceration. This is who we are, but not who we have to be. There's a lot of work to do to pull up the evil by the roots, but repentance has to come before there's peace. You said to love the lost, I'm trying to love you now. You said to speak the truth, that's why I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. May love overcome and justice roll down. Justice roll down. May love overcome and justice roll down. Thank you so much.
You probably heard his name is Daniel Deitrich, and Dan wrote that song, as you mentioned, back in after the election of 2016. And in 2020, we were traveling in this bus, one that looks like this one, and we heard about Dan's song. And it was on YouTube, and we're starting to have some people paying attention to it and listening to it. And so we reached out through a friend and found Dan and said, hey, we're doing similar kind of work. Maybe you could join us. And he said, okay, I'd be glad to. So he came and did an event with us, and then did another event. And then we called him back and said, hey, could you come a few more? And he said, yeah, actually, I just lost my job at a Christian church as a worship leader because of that song. So I've got a little more time. So now Dan is on the bus with us full time. Because sometimes saying the right thing, even to the people you think will be thinking it's the right places. So as we like to say, it's our Harvey Milk moment. We're here to recruit you. We not only want you to vote for these great candidates, we want you on that bus with us. In a little bit, we're going to ask you to put your name on it, or maybe put your body on it a little later. We're going to come back through here in August, or in October, and we'd love to have some of you come and join us on that. But right now, I want to invite the candidates who are going to be coming up here to share with us their story and why it is that they're running. So you're about to hear from Sonia, from Scott, and from Rita. Come on up. We're going to do this a little differently. We're going to do it differently each time. Hi, we're so excited you're coming. And we like to make something really clear. We're not only asking people to be Christian candidates. In fact, we don't care if people are Christian candidates. I've had the great privilege of being represented in Congress by Ilhan Omar since 2019. She's my congresswoman where I live in Minneapolis. I vote for Ilhan Omar not because of her faith, but because of mine. She's a Muslim woman. I'm glad to have her support me. I'm glad to have her represent me, and I'm glad as a Christian pastor to support her. So it's our faith that compels us to support candidates who care about the common good, no matter their background or their beliefs. So super proud of anybody who's going to run for office in any way that they've come. So all of you step on up here together. We're going to do this a little differently. We're going to do it in a little line down the way. I'd like you first to just do a quick introduction, name and what office you're running for, and then we'll come back.
Scott Urbanowski, running for Kent County Clerk and Register of Deeds.
Kent County Clerk and the Register of Deeds.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sonia Riley, I'm running for Kent County Commissioner in District 7.
Kent County Commissioner, okay.
And my name is Rita Proctor. I'm running for Cannon Township Trustee.
So we've got a trustee, a commissioner, and a clerk. Now look, if you've ever thought about running for office, people will tell you there's two kinds of positions in government. There's show horses and workhorses. These are all workhorse jobs. These are all difficult jobs. Why do you want to have this job of being a trustee? And tell us what a trustee does.
Well, it's funny you say that because that's probably the number one question I've got. Becky can probably attest to that. It's the number one question you get. And the simplest way to put it is that a trustee sits on a local board and has an equal say in every local decision that comes before them. And so they are elected by their neighbors, by the community members to make decisions on their behalf. And the reason that I'm running is because I believe that in order to be an effective board member and trustee, you need to have a two-way dialogue with your constituents, who are your neighbors, is your spouse, is yourself. You live in the community that you are helping make decisions for. My background is in communications, and I see that as an opportunity for me to use my professional experience in a way that benefits the board in sharing the decisions that they're considering and helping invite the community in to participate in those decisions.
Before you thought about running, had you ever known anyone who had the position of a trustee? Did you know what the trustee did?
I did not know.
You didn't know, and now you want the job.
And now I want the job.
Yeah, see, and that's one of the great things about the world that we live in, right? It's not just your pedigree, it's not just your background. Politics say to all of us, if you want to serve your community in this way, you have a chance to. Rita, would you tell us what is it that you're going to be doing as a county commissioner? And do you know any county commissioners? Or had you grown up as a little girl thinking someday I too will be a county commissioner?
No, I did not grow up thinking I would be in politics, period,
Okay.
let alone
Hold that mic real close.
running for a county commissioner. I have a parent who still doesn't vote because of religious reasons, and that's his right. And I know that I wanted to be a Kent County Commissioner. Not only was I asked to, I was called, but I definitely prayed about it before I said yes. Because sometimes we say yes without really knowing what's the intention behind it, and I decided to run because really there are not a lot of Latinx faces sitting at the table. And where I live is part of Wyoming and Granville. We have a lot of Latino families who are underrepresented in every area of government. So I said, why not?
Wonderful. I'm glad you said why not. Scott, what is it that a clerk and a register of deeds does? And I'd like to know what kind of deeds those are, because I have some people I'd like to report to you if you're going to take a tally of registering people's deeds.
Yeah, not talking about doing an evil deed or anything.
Okay.
But yeah, so county clerk and register of deeds, if it sounds like two offices in one, that's because it is. So in Michigan, the state constitution says every county has to have a sheriff, prosecuting attorney, a treasurer, a drain commissioner, yes, that's a thing, as well as a clerk and a register of deeds. But then the constitution says that the clerk and the register of deeds can be the same person, depending on the county. So the register of deeds basically maintains all the property records, and they're the ones who will say, this is who owns that property, and this is how it was deeded and how it was transferred out or sold last time or whatever. That the register of deeds office maintains that record. The county clerk maintains a whole bunch of other records. The records of county government, such as things like county commission meeting minutes, resolutions, and things like that. It's really geeky stuff. And you'll see my sign says "A Geek for Democracy" because it's a perfect job for me. But it's also, county clerk also runs elections in the county, administers elections in the county. They also handle vital records, so birth certificates, death certificates, marriage licenses, and they're also the clerk of the 17th Circuit Court. So they have a kind of a wide-ranging duty responsibilities. So that's why, like I said, it's a perfect job for a geek like myself.
Had you known people who were the county clerk before, and you had aspired to that role, or are you learning about this?
Not personally. I've interacted a little bit with a couple of other county clerks in the state, and I actually was pretty interested in the kind of work that they do, and I thought maybe I could try my hand at this in Kent County.
Let's do one more line. So would you go first? What do you need in your campaign? Will you tell, what is it like to run for office right now, and what could people do to be helpful to you?
Oh wow, that's a good question. I would say that probably, at least from my perspective, the number one thing I need is just name awareness. I mean, at the local level, you have a limited amount of funds to support your campaign, and really the first step is getting people to know who you are and what you stand for. Right on. So, money, of course,
I could imagine some people...
Volunteers.
I could imagine some people walk into the ballot. They know who they're going to vote for, maybe for president, maybe if there's a senator or governor. When they get down to the trustee,
they don't even know what
I'm looking at that looks like a fun name, and I sometimes just pick a fun name. So it really would help if people were sharing the fact, and that if they recognize you and they think, oh, that's the person that somebody recommended. I would imagine a role like that could be moved by just a small amount of votes. Do you know how many votes it will take for you to win that seat? Is that a thing you know?
We have an estimation. It's a little bit difficult at the trustee level because there are either 2 or 4 seats that are elected at a time, and people can vote for up to 2 or up to 4. And so people could vote for 1, they could vote for 2, or all 4. So it makes it a little bit difficult to make estimations, but in the geeky math that I attempted to do, I think that I need about 1,000, 1,500 votes that need to be persuaded in my township.
So that becomes a reasonable number. In your township, 1,000 people who are persuaded to vote for you could make sure that you're the person that represents them in that role.
I think so.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Rita, what about you? What would be helpful for you in your campaign right now?
Well, I've been very blessed because financially wise, I have the money. I don't have boots on the ground.
Okay.
I don't have, I held a canvas and I've held some fundraisers and stuff like that, but attendance hasn't been as great. I'm more widely known in Grand Rapids because I worked in a school in Grand Rapids and I was in community in Grand Rapids. So when it came to Wyoming, nobody knew that I was sitting in the council at the city level doing, making sure they had great concerts for 2 years. So I think that would be the best. I have signs, I have literature, I still have funding, and I just need to get people to really get to know me or go to my website, improve the traffic there. Share. If you're on Facebook, it's very important, but it's not only share, you have to like and you have to comment, because there's an algorithm that will prevent
Yeah.
other people from seeing the content if you don't shift that algorithm.
Yeah, incredible. We support a candidate for a county commission office in Pennsylvania. He's one of our common good candidates in Pennsylvania. He won by 42 votes and flipped the district for the first time. Do you have any idea how many votes it's going to take for you to win?
So it's crazy that you said that, because even though the name recognition was not there, it was 440 votes that divided us in the primary. So it's pretty close, and I don't think no one was expecting it to be that great. But I'm thankful that I'm out there and doing this, and I have a lot of people that are very supportive. Thank you, all of you, for what you did in the beginning, being one of my first donors as well. So I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ron. Scott, what could be helpful for you in your run?
Well, money's a big one, and unfortunately, we do live in a society where money does have quite a bit of role in politics, which is not my favorite thing in the world. But one thing that often happens is that when people donate, oftentimes they donate to top of the ticket candidates, like for president, for U.S. Senate, U.S. House. There's a lot of funding going into state house campaigns this cycle. But at the lower levels, that's not so much the case. So if you're thinking about if you're on the fence about who to donate to, obviously, if you haven't heard, Kamala Harris has been breaking some fundraising records. She's raising money hand over fist, which is good for her, but those of us elsewhere on the ballot also need support. So that's a big thing for me. And I also, again, need help spreading my name, increasing my name recognition. I have some of my signs here. I have still over 200 signs at the Kent County Democratic Party office. So if you want to go by there, you're welcome to do so and pick one up for me. And there are other candidate signs as well. Not for Harris right now. They've run out. They're just so popular. But yeah, and also I'm going to need. I also did the nerdy math. About 190,000 votes or so would help me win. That's based on previous turnout as well as our current voter registration data for Kent County as of last time I checked.
It's super impressive, all of you. Thank you for running. Thanks for spending a little bit of your time with us. Friends, take home a sign. Thanks so much for being a part of all of this. Yeah, it really means a lot. Hey, we're going to let you go here in just a minute with just a little song salutation before we go. If you want to be part of any of the work that we're doing, you make a donation of any size. We like to remind people that 4 things move our little effort around the country to support candidates here. We're also going to be heading over to Green Bay tomorrow. We do a bunch of work in Wisconsin. We're going to be going down to Georgia. We're going to be back here in Michigan in October. Between then, we're going to be in Nashville and in Kansas City and in California, and driving all over doing this kind of work, and then Pennsylvania, and back to Atlanta, Georgia, and then back here to Michigan again. So if you want to be part of any of that, we'd love for you to. But if you would rather donate to any of these candidates, please do. We'd love for you to. People that have a chance to meet these candidates means an awful lot, and people want to support our work. We're glad to. But if you do want to be in the tank with us, we'd love to have you do that. We have stuff over there. Make a donation. You take some stuff home with you. We'd be glad to have you do that. We like to say there's 4 things that get us around this country: faith, hope, love, and diesel. That thing gets pushed by diesel, so any money that you give gets put right into the tank, and we're filling it up all the time, and we're glad to do that. We're not glad for the impact of a big diesel engine on the environment, but we're glad that we can get it can get us around. And we'd be glad to do what we can in this election so that efforts like this don't have to happen anymore. We put an end to this MAGA movement in America at the local level and the national level. So we're super proud to be here with you. Joel and Dan are going to take us out with a little music, and then in just 10 minutes, if you want to stick around, we're going to be a part of that prayer call in Springfield, Ohio, and you're welcome to stand in the background of that. We'll be on for a total of 2 minutes, Michael and I, in that one piece of a prayer that's going out nationally to a whole bunch of people. But if you want to stick around and be a part of that, praying for the Haitian community in Springfield, we'd be glad to be part of that. So thanks for being here. We love your name and your number, and we'd love to stay in touch with you.
We're going to go out on a song that reminds us that no one is free until all of us are free. And it goes like this. There's a world at war, caught in suffering, silent casualties. Oh God, grant us peace. In these sleepless nights, I can hardly breathe. Despite brutality, I know that we'll be free. I know that we'll be free. So let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All that love dares us to see, we'll all be free. Yeah. Let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All that love dares us to see, we'll all be free. Yeah, we'll all be free. In these desperate times, love will hold us here. Love will join our hands, teach us to have no fear. So we lay our hate down to wash their feet. 'Cause when we see our brother, oh, we'll all be free. Yes, we'll all be free. So let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the love dares us to see, we'll all be free. Let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the love dares us to see, we'll all be free. Our little call and response here. I'm gonna sing you free, you sing free. We'll be free, 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 free. We'll all be free. We'll be free, 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 free. We'll all be free. Yes, we'll be free, 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 free. We'll all be free. We'll be free, 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 free. We'll all be free. Let the light in, keep it shine. Let it break into the darkness. All the love dares us to see, we'll all be free. Let the light in, keep it shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the love dares us to see, we'll all be free. So tell your brother, tell your sister, tell your father, tell your mother, tell the world, tell everybody, we'll all be free. Tell the lovers, tell the haters, tell the prisoners, tell the jailers, tell yourself, tell everybody, we'll all be free. Oh, we'll all be free. Yes, we'll all be free. Hey, thank you so much. Make sure you stop by the bus, sign it, and hang out with us a little bit, and we'll see you next time.